Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom to all. May the Most High be with you. Hopefully, you all are keeping safe and healthy in these very violent and dangerous times in which we live, where there are viruses in the air and there are people shooting other people in the streets. And there are much more corruption and wickedness all the way to the highest levels in this earth. Hopefully, the Most High is keeping you and protecting you in these times. Greetings to the 12 tribes of the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, scattered to the four corners of the earth. Greetings to those who seek to be grafted into that nation of the children of Israel that is scattered to the four corners of the earth. Greetings to those who seek to give honor and glory to the only one creator, YAH, by obedience to his covenant. Greetings for those who want righteousness and truth and want to do away with all lies. Greetings from Father YAH and from his only begotten and firstborn of all his children, Messiah, YAH. Today we're going to continue our study that we started last night in the prophecies of Daniel. We had just completed the prophecies of Isaiah or Yeshaya last weekend, and we are blessed by how that book spoke to us. And we are going to continue to be blessed by the grace of the Most High as this book also speaks to us, not just about things that have already happened, but about things that are happening now and things that are about to happen very shortly. Shabbat Shalom, Asale, Shabbat Shalom, Junior. And so we are beginning on that today. So let's get started. I want to start first in Leviticus. Today, we're going to talk about servants. Servants of Yah. Yes, servants. First of all, let's look at Amos. Amos, the prophet. Amos chapter 3. Amos chapter 3. Amos was a prophet to the northern children of Israel, the northern kingdom. And Amos was speaking, the Most High speaking through his prophet, Shabbat Shalom, Josie, Most High speaking through his prophet to the children of Israel and chastising them because of their idolatry. See, the Most High really, our God, is very jealous. He says he's a jealous God. And why would he be jealous? Well, first of all, Shabbat Shalom, Antonio. First of all, he created us. He's our Father. He created us, and he created everything on this earth. Every tree, every piece of dirt, every rock, every fish, every animal, every cloud, every planet, every star, everything. He is the Father of all things that live. Secondly, in particular, to the children of Jacob, he called Jacob and redeemed him, his name was Jacob, means supplanter, which means he was very slick. And he was the child of YAH or Isaac, meaning to laugh, who was the child of the man formerly named Abram, who became Abraham, father of nations, who in the midst of Babylonian idolatry went back to the God of his father, Eber, who is where you get the word Hebrew, who went to the God of his father, Shem, who went to the God of his father, Noah, who went all the way back to Lamech, the God of his father, Methuselah, the God of his father, all the way back to Adam, the original man. And he is the son of the Creator. And Abraham, or Abram, decided to serve this God when all the rest of the planet around him were serving Asatan, who told human beings that they themselves can be gods. And human beings up until now firmly believe that. So Abraham was rewarded because he trusted an invisible God who spoke to him by his spirit. And that invisible God told Abraham, I'm going to bless you and your children forever. Your people are chosen by me. And so he blessed Abraham. And he blessed Abraham's son, YAH. He even blessed Abraham's other children, including Ishmael. But he said the chosen seed that's going to represent your nations all the way into my kingdom is through YAH, to laugh, Isaac. YAH had two sons. The firstborn, Esau. The younger, Jacob. Esau was going to receive the blessing, which is supposed to go to the firstborn, but he despised that blessing. He despised the responsibility of being the spiritual descendant of Abraham, and he sold the birthright to his brother. And the Most High allowed his brother to trick him and get the blessing of the firstborn. So then Jacob went through some stuff because he was going to get that blessing anyway. It was prophesied, but he stole it and he tricked his brother. And he had to go through 20 years of hardship, 20 years to learn to no longer be Jacob. And when he learned, the Most High renamed him by a name given to him by the Most High himself, not by his father Isaac. And the name became Yashar, which means right with the Most High. Right with the Most High, YAH, or Israel, right with the Most High. Okay, through this man, YAH, who is Israel, he had 12 sons. And the Most High promised to bless those children, not only because of YAH, because of his father, Yashak, or Isaac, and because of his father, Abraham. But those children, Yishael's children, Israel's children, them are some rebellious brothers. Some very rebellious brothers. And he redeemed them by miracles, by plagues that he put on the children of Ham, who was called Mizraim, who modern days, the Caucasians who have taken over the planet as prophesied, named Egypt. He redeemed them from Egypt by miracles, mighty miracles that destroyed the nation of Egypt and had them walking through a sea on dry ground, which when the Egyptians tried to do it, they were destroyed. Then he was feeding them with bread that angels eat. And they called it, what is it? Which means manna. What is it? And he gave that to them to eat. And when they desired some meat, they said, man, we ain't vegetarians. We need some meat. He said, okay. And he gave them fowls or birds to eat. And when they got thirsty and they was in the middle of the desert, he asked Moses to hit a rock, and rivers of water will gush out of the rock and feed over 1 million, to satisfy the thirst of over 1 million people. And then they got to the borderlines of the promised land, and there was a river between them and the promised land. So what did the Most High do? He gave the priest that he assigned to be priest to carry the Ark of the Covenant, which contained the covenant between him and Israel's children. And those priests, when their feet touched the shore of the river Jordan, the river parted. And they walked into the middle of the river on dry ground. It wasn't even muddy, it was dry. And they stood there. And the whole 1 million people walked across the river into the promised land. Then, once they got across, there was a fortified city, big walls, powerful, called Jericho. Joshua was on a mountain watching Jericho from afar, trying to figure out, how are we going to get this? I know the Most High said He's going to give us this land, but that's a powerful looking wall right there. How are we going to do it? And as he was doing that, he felt a presence. He felt a presence behind him. And he turned around and he saw a giant man with a sword in his hand, a powerful man that made even Joshua, a mighty warrior, scared. And Joshua said, "Are you for us or are you for the enemies?" And that man, that powerful man that looked at him, said to him, "Nay, but as captain of Yahweh's host," in other words, I'm captain of your God's host, am I now come? And he told Joshua to let him know this was no ordinary messenger. He said, "Brother, I need you to take your shoes off because you stand on the same ground I'm standing on. And this ground is holy." And Joshua took his shoes off and bowed to that captain. And the captain explained to him, said, "Just march around Jericho. You ain't got to do nothing. Just march around it. March around it each day. And on the seventh day, march around it 7 times. And then when you shout, I'm going to cause the walls, those giant walls that you see, they're going to collapse. And I'm going to give them people over into your hand." And that's exactly what happened. And one miracle after another, just like that, followed them into the promised land until they got the land that was promised them. And so that God that did all of those things for them said to them, "I don't want you worshiping any other God. All these nations got their own gods. I don't want you worshiping those gods because they didn't do for you what I did for you." And the children of Israel agreed. All that Yahweh has said, their leaders told them, we will do and be obedient. And they made a covenant in blood. They made a covenant in blood, promising to keep faith with that God. So when they would go and worship other gods, and when their descendants would go and worship other gods, the gods that blessed them, the one that blessed them to get into the promised land, that blessed their fathers and made all those promises to them, who told them, "I'm jealous," would punish them. Would punish them, and they had to be punished again and again and again and again and again. But because that same God's word is eternal, because he can see the past, because he's already there, he's in the present, and he's already ahead of us in the future, he can tell us what's going to come. And he speaks to a segment of the population of the children of Israel who are his chosen people. And he says, "I'm going to speak through you, and I'm going to show you to show my people what's coming." That is called prophecy. He didn't choose any other nation. He chose Abraham's seed, and just not all of Abraham's seed. He told Abraham, "I'm going to bless Ishmael. Don't worry about him." But he's not the promised seed. Abraham had other wives and concubines and other children, and he gave them gifts. He gave them inheritance. But he separated all of them from the chosen seed, Isaac. And he said, "It's this one." The Most High told him, "It's this one that's going to represent my kingdom." Okay. So here we are in Amos chapter 3. I'm going to read from verse 1 down to verse 7 of Amos chapter 3, because today we're reading Daniel chapter 2 and we're talking about servants. Amos chapter 3, beginning at verse 1. "Hear this word that Yahweh has spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family, which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities." First of all, did you notice what he said in that word? Now, I want to tell you something before we get started really into this. I'm a believer in this King James Bible. I don't need any other book. My problem is this, actually, because people ask, have you read this book? Have you read that book? In past times, I read books because I have to for school or whatever. But the Most High, at this time, he won't let me read any other book. I keep reading this one over and over and over and over again. So like every year I read through it. And he just has me reading this book. Well, now I kind of understand why. Because I see what's getting ready to come and I see where we are, as you can see where we are. And he wants you to do the same thing, but he has me just reading this book. And so I believe that this book speaks to me as one of the descendants of Israel. One of the descendants of those that had to be punished because we're so rebellious, because we've been worshiping other gods, had to be put in slavery on multiple occasions. And when we were supposed to be the head, now we've become the tail because we're worshiping the gods of the heathen. I'm one of their descendants. And he is showing me things in this book. And notice what he said here. You only have I known. Did you understand the import of those words when he says that? You only. In other words, I don't know the Chinese. I don't know the Russians. I don't know the Polish. I don't know them. You only have I known of all the families of the earth. And he says in another place, I have not shown my commandments and statutes to any other people. So somebody might rightly ask, well, does he not love everyone? There's an order. Because he had, and this is not my choice, it's his, because he has chosen one people. He has ordained that that people should bear witness of him to all the peoples of the earth. And in that way, he shows himself to the world. Now, when that people fail to do that, the earth is in trouble, which is why the earth is in trouble now. Not only have we failed to do it, but the heathen have now compounded the problem by oppressing us. The Most High said, I allowed you to take them, but you've taken it too far, he told Zechariah. You've taken it too far. Because there's an enemy, Asatan, and he wants the world to worship him. And Asatan knows who we really are. Do you understand that? Why do you think we're getting shot in the street? Why do you think these things are happening? There's an enemy, and he knows who we are, and he hates us. See, you got to look, this government, the governments of this earth are corrupt. The leaders of this earth are corrupt. The Bible says we wrestle against spiritual wickedness in high places. Who do you think is at the top of that pyramid? And they hate us above all because he knows when we rise, he's in trouble. That's what he knows. When we rise, he's in trouble. And you know what? That's the truth. Why do you think a lying man, orange man like Donald Trump has such strong support among rednecks? Why do you think that is? Is it because of his policies? Come on, be real. No. Why it is? Because they realize that white supremacy is coming to an end. And they're desperate to prevent it. And he looks like the hope to make that happen. That's why. Because the devil knows when we rise, there's going to be a problem for them. Not because they're white. You know, actually, I'm going to be honest with you. Actually, there's no such thing as a white person. Do you know that? And there's no such thing as a black person. Do you know that? White means pure. Right? White means pure. That's what white represents. Pure. Dazzling is the description. It's pure. Okay? So is any of them, can you say they pure without sin? Seriously? And black means complete darkness, right? So is there any of us that's just complete darkness? Well, where did that come from? That came from them trying to make themselves superior to us. They're really Caucasians. They come from the Caucasus Mountains. They descendants of Yafet. Right? And these people that call themselves Jews that are Ashkenazi, They're not Semites. So that if you said to them something that they don't like, they can't call you anti-Semitic. You know why? You Semitic. They're from Japhet. They could say anti-Japhetic because that's where they come from. But the Bible predicted, as we talked about last time, Noah's prophecy was what? They'll be enticed to take our place. And that's what they've been trying to do. So he has his servants. You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you. This is where we get punished worse. We get punished worse. You know why we get punished worse? Because he's saying to us, I'm the only true God, and I've only given myself to you all. So when you mess up and serve other gods, I'm going to punish you hard because you're supposed to know better. You understand? It's like when you growing up, right? If you got brothers and sisters, or even if they're your cousins, right? And y'all should know, some of y'all know, especially if you come so-called black people, you know, right? Because like, you know, they say, you know what, Junior, I need you to watch so-and-so, make sure they're not doing blah, 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 right? And all of a sudden, so-and-so, the one you're supposed to be watching, getting in some trouble. And they say, you're the oldest, you're supposed to watch them. Right? You ever see that happen to you? I know it happened to me. Or I left you in charge of them. You're supposed to be watching them. Right? Well, that's the same thing with the nation. He has only known us. He has only given those commandments to us. He did not give it to the heathen. That's why they can't even keep them properly, because he hasn't given it to them. They're not for them to know. It's for us to know and teach them. So when we're not worshiping our God, he punishes us hard. Now, we could give him praise because he has already told us we're going to come back. He has already told us we're going to be waking. He has already told us the kingdom is going to be restored to us. So we can give him praise. We can give him honor because his word is going to come to pass. That's why the heathen are scared. You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities. Verse 3, can two walk together except they be agreed? Will a lion roar in the forest when he has taken no prey? Will a young lion cry out of his den if he have taken nothing? Can a bird fall in a snare upon the earth where no gin is for him? Shall one take up a snare from the earth and have taken nothing at all? Shall a trumpet be blown in the city and the people not be afraid? Shall there be evil in the city and Yahweh have not done it? Verse 7. Watch this one. Surely the Most High Yahweh will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret unto his servants, the prophets. Revealeth his secret unto his servants, the prophets. Now, here's a hard saying for some of y'all, but I'm only going by this book because I believe this book. I believe this book. The words are more than just words on the page. There's a spirit behind these words, and the spirit speaks to us. I believe that. Y'all might think I'm crazy, and I don't really care. Honestly, I don't. Because I know the words speak to us. That's why I could read this book through 15 or 16 times. And every time I read through, I'm learning a lot more than I learned the last time. Because it's always speaking to us. The spirit through this word is speaking to us and guiding our way. I believe that. Okay. You know how many times I've done studies on Isaiah? And every time we do a study, I've learned things that I never knew before. And he made things clearer every time. How could that be possible? Because his word speaks to us. Okay, his word does. So he says he revealed his secrets to his servants, the prophets. Who are his servants? According to this Bible. Who are his servants? Take a look at that. According to this Bible. Let's look at Leviticus. Leviticus chapter 25. By the way, when you get a chance, right? You want to know why we're in this situation in the US of A and in the so-called developed nation? Why the children of Israel, who we are, is persecuted? Why we the last and not the first? Read Leviticus chapter 26. It will tell you in detail. I mean, we know about Deuteronomy 28, right? We know about that. But read Leviticus chapter 26, man. Man, it's hard. But it tells you the whole thing from beginning to end. Well, anyway, Leviticus chapter 25. Notice what it says, Leviticus chapter 25 and verse 55. Leviticus 25, 55. Watch what it says here. Watch what it says. Word of the Most High. For unto me, Yah says, the children of Israel, that's Jacob's children, are servants. They are my servants, whom I brought forth out of the land of Egypt. I am Yahweh, your Most High. So when he talks about his servants as a nation, he's talking about us. And he says he reveals his secrets to his servants, who are the prophets. You see, brothers and sisters, the Most High doesn't recognize prophets. That's not his servants. Okay? The Most High does not recognize prophets that are not his servants. So when you get somebody that's an Arab somewhere claiming to be a prophet, they're not Yah's prophet. They might be a prophet for the Arabs. Okay? You got somebody that might be, Asian, Chinese, or whatever, and they claim to be a prophet. That's cool. You prophet for them. But Yah doesn't recognize them as prophets. His servants of the seed of Abraham are his prophets. You want to know what's getting ready to come to this earth? You better talk to them. Because he's ordained. It's not like I decided. I didn't wake up one day and say, I'm going to be a teacher for the Most High's word. That's my goal in life. It was not that for me at all. My goal, honestly, and I've told you this, when I woke up, I was trying to get this paper. You ask my wife, I drove him crazy. I was trying to get this paper. You understand? It wasn't about this, but he chose me to do this. It took him a long time. A lot of spankings, lots of butt whoopings for me to understand what he has ordained me to do. Not just me, all the children of Israel. That's what he's telling me. All the children, he's ordained us to teach you heathen what's getting ready to come. Problem is, most of you heathen don't want nothing to do with it. And that's why 5, 6 of y'all, the Bible says, and we went through this the other night on Wednesday night, 5, 6 of y'all are going to perish. That's right. Only 1 out of 6 is going to make it. Because most of y'all don't want to believe what I just said. See, the Most High called us Israelites. He called us Hebrews. Y'all called us niggas. And see, because he tried to degrade us, see, the word nigger really comes from Niger, because that's where a lot of us came from. That area of Africa when they caught us. Okay. Now you got Niger and Nigeria, same thing, same land where they divided it up. All right. And so you caught us from that area. And so you didn't know how to say Niger or whatever. So you said nigger, right? Okay. But you tried to degrade us by calling us nigger. So you look lower at us by calling us nigger. And that's on you, because now we're the children of the Most High Yah, and he has ordained for us to teach you how to be saved. Not white Jesus. White Jesus is not going to save you because he doesn't exist. The Messiah is a black man from the tribe of Judah. And if you want to be saved, you got to be saved through the covenant with him, through his children. Okay? That's okay. I'm trying to teach you something here. So look, it's on you to now you got to look at the niggas. The ones you've been downing all this time. You got to look at them now, and you got to listen to them. Now, you tell me. You look at one of them Trump rallies. You think they're going to listen to me? You think they're going to listen to me? You think George Soros cares about what I say? How about Jeff Bezos? How about Zuckerberg? You think they care about what I say or what my brothers say? That's why most of them are going to be lost. That's why most of them are going to be lost. Because only the bloodline of Abraham has been given this word. They're his servants. Okay? They're his servants. And I know it's unbelievable, but doesn't that make sense, right? So, like, does the Most High ever do things with the majority? No, really. Does he ever favor, if you look at the Bible, does he ever favor the majority? Matter of fact, just take a look at it. Look at this. Let me just give you a little example, all right? Let me just show you this. Okay, watch this. Here you go. Here, watch this. Deuteronomy chapter 7. Okay, watch. So I'm going to read from verse 1. And I'm going to go down to verse 8. Okay, and watch what it says. This kind of gives you a synopsis of how the Most High feels in terms of majority, right? Watch what it says. When Yahweh thy Most High shall bring thee into the land, whither thou goest. So just to give you a little background, the book of Deuteronomy is the Most High speaking only to the children of Israel through his servant, his Israelite servant, Moses. Okay? This was Moses' last testimony before he was laid to rest. It's the book of Deuteronomy. That's his testimony. Okay. In fact, the real word for this book is Adabarim. That's the name of this book. That's the original name. It's called These Be the Words, right? So that, see, Deuteronomy, the word came later, but the actual name is Adabarim. These be the words. And why does it say that? Because these be the words that Moses spake to the children of Israel. This last will and testament, so to speak, that the Most High gave him. Okay, so let's read this now. Deuteronomy chapter 7, beginning at verse 1. When Yahweh thy Most High shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and hath cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, and the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. Okay? And when Yahweh thy Most High shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter shall not give unto his son, and nor his daughter shalt thou take to thy son. And they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of Yahweh be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. But thus shall ye deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars and break down their images and cut down their groves and burn their images with fire. For thou, that is Jacob's children, art an holy people unto Yahweh thy Most High. Ooh, holy to Yahweh. Wait a minute. Yahweh thy Most High hath chosen thee, Jacob's children, to be a special people unto himself. Is there others aside him? Wait a minute. Above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Either this is true or it's not. Either it's true or it's not, right? So if you don't want to believe this word, okay, fine. You say, I don't believe the Bible. Get it. Okay, fine. Go. Keep on walking. Keep it moving. But I do believe it. And I'm talking to people that have an inkling that they might want to believe it. Okay? They talking to people who have an inkling they might want to believe it. So he said he's chosen the Israelite children. That's the people that went on slave ships according to Deuteronomy 28:68. That's the people that had chains on their neck. That's the people that went into foreign lands to nations that hated them from the heathen. That's the people that have an appearance that look like Hamites. So that the Apostle Paul was confused for a Hamite. Did you know that? A Greek man looked at him and said, aren't you that Egyptian that caused all that trouble? Paul said, no, I'm not the Egyptian. I'm an Israelite. He had to tell him that because he looked like, to the Greek man, looked the same as the Hamite. So now the children of Israel went into slavery with chains on their neck, and they kind of look like the children of Ham, but they're really Semites, and they will be taken captive into nations as slaves. Give you all those hints to let you know who we are. All those hints. And then it says, my people who my supply is beyond Ethiopia. Okay, let's keep reading. So, Yahweh thy Most High have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Okay, we're talking about minority and majority, right? Yahweh did not set his love upon you nor choose you because you were more in number than any people. For ye were what? The fewest of all people. So is he with majorities or minorities? But because Yahweh loved you, because he would keep his oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, has Yahweh brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. So he said he redeemed them from Egyptian slavery because of the promise to their fathers. Do you think that's gone away? Do you think that doesn't exist anymore? See, you have to either believe this God or cast him off. Go read the Quran or Buddha or somebody else, because this word is telling you who you are. And it's telling you what's coming. And he says he reveals his secrets to his servants. I want you to notice the wise men that came to the east to worship Messiah, they didn't call them prophets. He said they were wise. He said wise men came from the east. Why were they called wise men? Well, they can't be prophets because they're not Israelites. Well, wise men came from the east because that was smart. To come worship the Israelite Messiah. That was smart. Where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east and are come to worship him. Brothers and sisters, remember that. It wasn't no fat white man on December 25th either. Wasn't. That man doesn't exist. He does not exist. Even Caucasians know he doesn't exist. Okay? And people breaking down Walmart's doors on Black Friday. Oh my goodness. Can you see what's wrong with that picture in the light of what we're reading here? Can you see what's wrong with that picture? People getting up midnight, 1 a.m, waiting outside in camps and stuff to break down doors of Walmart and stores to catch a sale, to spend Babylonian dollars on Babylonian goods. Can you see what's wrong with that picture? In preparation for the holiday of a fat white man named St. Nicholas. Come on. You see what's wrong with that? You see how messed up we are? But praise the Most High. This awakening is called an awakening for a reason. Okay? So now we can see here, he reveals his secrets to his servants. Now, sometimes, like the Bible say, okay, so when we read Romans 11, right, and it's and the Apostle Paul, who he actually bore witness that he was ordained, from the tribe of Benjamin. He's an Israelite, but he was ordained by Messiah, the Hebrew Messiah, to go give this word to you Gentiles. Okay, now y'all done perverted it, right? Made it into Christianity and white Jesus and Trinity and all that. Y'all done perverted it, and the reason you did that is because we failed, right? The fathers died off, and we went into slavery, and that's what happens when y'all left to yourself. You're gonna turn it into whatever, and y'all do that. It's all that's what you do. Okay, you can't help yourself. A leper can't change his skin. Neither an EPO can't change his skin. Leper can't change his spots. You're gonna do what you do. So left to yourself, you're gonna go into idolatry and you're gonna create your own stuff. Okay, but the Most High is waking us up to teach y'all. Ain't no Trinity, ain't no white Jesus, ain't no Catholic Church that he's looking at. He did not create Christianity. Ain't but one chosen people in the Bible. They call Israelites. So in Romans 11, when the Apostle Paul tells your people, tells your descendants of the Gentile, he says, don't get high and mighty, because y'all was some wild olive trees. And he cut off the branch from the wild olive tree and grafted y'all into the pure olive tree. He said, don't get high and mighty, because you're not even the natural branches. Now you're getting the blessing because you in the Israelite olive tree. And don't forget, he can take the natural branches that was broken off and put them back in, because that's their natural home. Okay, so he's telling y'all could do that. Y'all could get grafted in to the nation. See, we don't have y'all. I baptized many people, and I never baptized them into somebody's church. Never asked for any money from them. You know why? How can I ask for money for a gospel from the Hebrew Messiah that's given to me for free? How can I do that? I mean, what kind of mess is that? Did I create the gospel? So I ain't asking for no money from nobody. I'm not asking you to join no denomination, because that's not in the Bible. There's none of that in the Bible. Ain't no Seventh-day Adventist denomination in the Bible. Ain't no Baptist denomination in the Bible. Ain't no Jehovah's Witness. Ain't no Mormon. Ain't no Pentecostal. None of them are in the Bible. So where they come from? They came from man. They all broke off from the Catholic Church. Who is the great whore? And the Bible does say, Satan deceiveth the whole world. And he does. Definitely. So anyway, you can become one of y'all's servants by being grafted into the Israelite tree. There's a couple of ways this will happen. Either you surrender yourself now and listen to the niggas, and you surrender to their word right now. You could do that, and you'll be blessed. You'll be blessed because you'll be in the kingdom. The Most High has plans for you. But then there's some of y'all that's going to have to get it another way. Okay? I mean, I'm talking about the 162. You got to get it another way. Watch. And you know how we see it? Because the Bible shows, David is going to be raised up to be king in Jerusalem again. The Bible shows us that. He's going to be raised up in the resurrection to be king again. He's going to sit in the seat in Jerusalem, right? He's going to rule Israel in Jerusalem. The Bible says it. Okay, so you want to look at David's kingdom, because David's kingdom in the Bible, the one that he actually ruled, was the high point for the nation. That was the high point. After David, there was problems, okay? But David's kingdom is the high point, and David's kingdom is the example of what you can kind of see going forward. The only difference is in the kingdom that we get ready to inhabit, there'll be no sin. It'll be a kingdom of righteousness where everything on the planet that lives will serve the one true God, and all things will be in balance and harmony. There'll be no imbalance. There'll be no disease and no cancer. There'll be no more wars. Once this thing is over, there'll be nothing but peace on the planet. And every man will be in harmony with every other man, and all animals and nature be in harmony with man and man with nature. There'll be no more earthquakes and no more conflagrations, no more greed, corruption. It won't exist anymore. Okay, no more death. So that's the difference. But look at. I want to just read 1 Chronicles chapter 18. Watch this. 1 Chronicles chapter 18. I'm gonna begin at verse 1. And watch. I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna read from verse 1 down to verse 2. Okay, verse 1 and verse 2. Watch what it says. Now, after this, it came to pass that David smote the Philistines and subdued them, and took Gath and her towns out of the hand of the Philistines. And he smote Moab, and the Moabites became David's servants and bought gifts. Now, I want you to remember that line. The Moabites became David's servants and brought gifts. Okay, wait. Let's go down to verse 6. Verse 6, and David put garrisons in Syria, Damascus, and the Syrians became David's servants and brought gifts. So the Moabites, the Philistines, the Syrians, all the nations around Israel became David's servants and brought gifts. Okay, and David had garrisons. I mean, he had his armies stationed. He had his people in their land, and they became his servants, and they would bring him gifts. Okay, you guys following that? All right, wait, let's skip down. Verse 13. And he put garrisons, that is David, and he put garrisons in Edom. And all the Edomites became David's servants. So the Moabites, the Edomites, the Syrians, the Philistines, all of them became who? David's servants. He had to beat them down. They surrendered. They became his servants, and they brought gifts. Wait a minute. What about the children of Ammon? The next chapter, chapter 19. Chapter 19 and verse 19. Notice what it says. And when the servants of Hadar-Ezer saw that they were put to the worst before Israel, they made peace with David and became David's servants. Neither would the Syrians help the children of Ammon anymore. They became David's servants. Everybody around him became David's servants. Let's go to Revelation chapter 21. Revelation chapter 21. Going to read from verse, let's see, I'm going to read from verse 24. From verse 24 down to verse 27. Notice what it says. This is actual kingdom. Now we see David's kingdom. Now we're going to see David's kingdom in the world made new. Watch what it says. And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it. And the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it. The kings of the earth. That's the kings of the nations. They bring gifts. And became David's servants. And the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night there. And they shall bring the glory and honor of the nations. That is the nations, the word nations. Look it up. It means heathen, like Gentiles. And they shall in no wise enter into it anything that defileth, neither whatsoever worketh abomination or maketh a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life. So you understand, there'll be no more sin. There'll be no rebellion against the covenant of Yah. All will be David's servants, all be servants to the nation of Israel. Either you are a surrendered servant now and you can partake, with the nation of Israel, or you're going to be a captured servant. And then what happens when you are a captured servant? Again, notice what it says in Isaiah chapter 14. See, some of my brethren, they think, they think of the whole race of Japhet as a monolith, and they think everybody's going to be one thing. Just like all Israelites are not going to be saved. All Japhet's not going to be lost. Okay, depends on where they come from. So the Japhet that's surrendering now, okay, they're gonna get the blessing. They're gonna get the blessing. That's why Paul said you can become heirs according to the promise. You surrendering at the right time. You come in when nobody else wants to come. But don't wait till it's time. Watch what happens. Chapter 14, verse 1 and 2. Isaiah chapter 14, verse 1 and 2. Notice what it said. For Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. And the stranger shall be joined with them and shall cleave to the house of Jacob. Shall cleave to the house of Jacob. And the people shall take them, like capture, and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of Yahweh for servants and handmaids, and shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and shall rule over their presence. So you got different Gentile situations. Some of them are surrendering because it's the truth of the Most High, and they believe that we're the chosen people, and they want to be part of that nation. And guess what? You know what? I'm noticing of the Gentiles that are coming to this truth right now, I have not seen one that wasn't poor and afflicted. See, I'm noticing the ones that come to this truth are the ones like they've been through the welfare system, or they've been through the the adoption system, and they've been abused and they've been molested and they've been beat down. So they kind of understand what we've been going through, and they're receiving this truth because they're not trying to be proud and high and mighty, because where they come from, some of them coming out of them trailer parks and coming out of all kind of ghetto. Some of them grew up with us. Those are the ones that's coming to this truth. Those are the ones coming. You don't see no middle class, upper middle class, wealthy ones coming. They're not coming. They said they like Pharaoh. Who is Yahweh that I should obey him? That's what they think. See, that's how they feel. See, so the poor ones that have come through this Babylonian system, because they're understanding, they have an understanding that they're being chewed up by the same system we're being chewed up by. They understand that, and they can observe how we've been treated, and they can know what this is about. They're not trying to fool themselves like the majority of them doing. Try to fool themselves and put their head in the sand. No, because they've been through too much. So your poor ones, that's why Messiah said, he said the harlots and the publicans get into the kingdom before some of you leaders. Because those that have been low like us understand us. You know, the saddest thing is a Caucasian that live in a trailer and still think he higher than me. That's the saddest thing. Been through hell and back and now wearing a swastika. I mean, that's sad to me. I mean, when you see that, you be like, what's wrong with y'all? What is wrong with y'all? Got people in West Virginia with no teeth in their mouth by the time they get to be 30, and they hoping for that white Messiah. It's sad, but it's what's going on. Just like you got black people that don't know who they are, right? Like I saw Herschel Walker the other day speaking for Donald Trump. I was like, what? And I thought to myself, here's a black man that don't know who he is. He doesn't know who he is. I'm not going to call him a seller. I just believe he just don't know who he is. And there are others that will go for these dollars that are printed by the Federal Reserve. They'll give their mother for 5 of them. And that's sad, because our inheritance is greater than any dollar that can be printed in Washington, D.C. But they can't see that because they don't know who they are. You understand? They don't know who they are. And that's why we praise the Most High for the awakening, because that's what the 144,000 are being brought forth for. Really, that's what they're being brought forth for. They're being brought forth to give the power to a message of awakening, because that's how deep, that's how far into this whole Babylon system his people have been. So they gotta bring a power to shake the people up, and the Most High supplies that power. You understand? That's what's making them so important. And we're going to talk about that as we get into Daniel. 144,000 will become is prominent. I'm going to show you that, okay, by the grace of the Most High. Okay, so now you can see there's those servants of the Gentiles that receive this truth. Some of them give their life, get beheaded, for this truth, for standing firm for what they think is for what the majority of these Eurocentric people think are niggas, right? So you standing for niggas. You know who did that? Look up a man named John Brown. John Brown was an abolitionist, gave his life for our cause. Yes, he did. And I believe John Brown's going to receive an inheritance. You understand? But then there's those that's going to be, oh no, they're going to see It's gonna be too late. They're gonna see how we getting ready to cut their head off, and they're gonna surrender. They're gonna be servants and handmaids. Okay, yo, get me my water, okay? Thank you. Clean this, please. Praise the Most High. You understand? That's what's gonna happen. They're gonna be our vine dressers. We're gonna give them the plans, and they're gonna help build our house. All right, it's only fair. We've been doing that to them for 2,000 years. You know, 400 years. Y'all think 400? No, we've been their servants for 2,000 years. We're gonna show you that. Okay. Now let's look at Daniel chapter 2. We're talking about servants. Daniel chapter 2. Here's Daniel. We studied last night. Daniel is in Babylon. Him and his brothers. And not just him and the three boys either. There was a whole bunch of them that went into Babylon. It only highlights Daniel and the three homies of the Israelites that was with him because they were the only few that was faithful. All the rest of them sold out to the Babylonians. You see, brothers and sisters, just because our people was in Egypt for a couple of centuries doesn't mean our people was Egyptians. The problem is they start in Ezekiel chapter 20. When you read Ezekiel 20, you will understand they started thinking they was Egyptian. They started worshiping Egyptian gods. They started getting into Egyptian culture. Okay, and the Most High had to wake them up with the trials they had to go through to let them know, no, you're not Egyptians. You children of Jacob. Okay, and then again it happened. They went into Babylon, and they were there for 70 years, and they started thinking they was Babylonians, and he had to raise up prophets like Haggai to tell them, you're not Babylonians. You're supposed to go back to the land I gave your fathers. Well, here we are now. Here we are. Okay, you see, the Irish and the Italians and the English, they came here voluntarily. We brought here in chains in the bottom of ships. We worked fields for 300 years for free. And we think we're Americans. And every time they shoot one of us in the street, every time, and many times they've been declared innocent after killing us, killing some of our little kids, like Emmett Till, putting us in electric chairs, and they can declare innocent. And you know what, brothers and sisters? You know what? We think we them. You think that this Constitution was written for you? Don't you understand that most of the brothers that wrote, the Caucasian men that wrote that Constitution had slaves, and they were not thinking of y'all when they wrote those words? Did the Irish or the Polish or the Italians had to march in streets and have dogs biting off their genitals to get rights? Did they? When they came here, did they have to march in streets to get a job and get paid the same as them people? Did they? Was there any constitutional amendment made just to make them equal? Was there? Did they have any special rights? Did they have to fight and give blood just to be able to vote? Did they? Wake up now. We in America, but we not Americans. We here and we built the joint. But you know what? We ain't Americans. Gotta be real. Okay, gotta be real. Daniel chapter 2. Let's begin. Daniel chapter 2, beginning at verse 1. Daniel chapter 2. Watch this now. Daniel chapter 2, beginning at verse 1. Now, we already saw from the last chapter that the Bible showed that even Nebuchadnezzar acknowledged that Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah, and Daniel were 10 times sharper than the rest of the folks because of the blessing of YAH that was upon them. 10 times sharper. Okay, he already know that. Watch what he does now. Daniel chapter 2, beginning at verse 1. I'm going to read from verse 1 down to verse 6. Notice what it said. And in the second year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuchadnezzar dreamed dreams wherewith his spirit was troubled, and his sleep brake from him. Then the king commanded to call the magicians and the astrologers and the sorcerers and the Chaldeans for to show the king his dreams. So they came and stood before the king. And the king said unto them, I have dreamed a dream, and my spirit was troubled to know the dream. Then spake the Chaldeans to the king in Syriac, O king, live forever. Tell thy servants the dream, and we will show the interpretation. See, they are ignoring what he said, what he asked. He said, I need to know the dream. He didn't ask for the interpretation. He said, I need to know the dream. And they acted like they didn't hear it. They said, listen, just tell us the dream, and we'll tell you what it is. We'll interpret it for you. He needs to know the dream. And so, in fact, he's telling them, I had a dream and I forgot it. You ever had that happen to you? You had a dream and you forgot it? And then all of a sudden something happened, you remembered it? You know, it comes back to you like an epiphany. right? Oh, I dreamt about that. That happens to me a lot. So it happened to him. He had a dream and he knew it was important, but he forgot the dream. So now he asked his magician, his astrologer, his sorcerer to show him the dream. See, brothers and sisters, when the rubber meets the road, we always go what we used to go into. We always go what we've learned how to trust all our life. Even though he saw these Hebrews were 10 times better than the people he knew all his life, he was used to going to these people. So that's where he went. See, that's where he went. Then the king answered and said to the Chaldeans, the thing is gone from me. If ye will not make known unto me the dream with the interpretation thereof, ye shall be cut in pieces, and your houses shall be made a dunghill. But if ye show the dream and the interpretation thereof, then ye shall receive of me gifts and rewards and great honor. Therefore, show me the dream and the interpretation. So he said, show me both the dream, tell me what I dreamt, and tell me what it means. So he's basically saying, if you could tell me what I dreamt, then I know you could tell me what it means. Okay, if you tell me what I dreamt, I know you could tell me what it means. And he wasn't playing. See, brothers and sisters, Nebuchadnezzar was a Hamite. He was a Hamite. He was from the children of Ham. Babylon was originally from Nimrod. That kingdom was started by Nimrod. And so Nimrod was of the children of Ham. He was the grandson of Ham. Cush, which was the son of Ham, Cush was Nimrod's father. Cush is where you get the word Ethiopian. And so Cush begot Nimrod. Nimrod founded Babylon. Babylon is where you got Nebuchadnezzar. These were Hamitic people. Okay, they dwelt in the land that we now call Iraq, but that land was changed by Japhet, because Japhet would always try to take the place, not just of Shem, but of Ham too. That's why that whole land that they call the Middle East has been infiltrated by Japhet people. That's why they're so light. Originally, they was all Hamitic. Philistines was Hamitic. Hittites was Hamitic. All the people that was there were from Ham. The Bible tells you that. But over the course of millennium, Japhet came. And you know, read history, like the Greek general Alexander, he wanted to populate that whole area with Greek people. He wanted them to have children with them to make them more look like Greeks. They did the same thing in Australia. The UK people went to Australia and they saw that them people, Aboriginal people, were dark, and they kept wanting to mate with them to try to make them lighter and lighter, to try to lighten them out, to white them out. Okay, now it doesn't work, but see, that's what they try to do. That's what they try to do. Okay, so that all the people you see that's in the land that was once called Moab and Ammon, they're not the original people. They're not the original people. See, the original people are just like us. They've been scattered. The original Assyrians, the original Babylonians, the original Edomites, the original Hamites, all the people have been scattered. Okay. So let's continue. He went to his magician and he said, and he wasn't playing. He said, y'all better give me what I need. And he wasn't playing. I'm going to chop you to pieces. There wasn't no guns. There wasn't no firing squad. They're going to come with axes and chop people into pieces and turn the house you lived in into a cesspool. That's what a dunghill is. It's a cesspool. I'm going to turn your house to a cesspool, but you need to do what I ask you now. I need this dream and I need this interpretation. He wasn't playing. The Babylonian king was the most powerful man in the then known world. The most powerful man in the then known world. Now, later on today, right now where we live, sons of Japhet call themselves Babylon. Why do you think the whore got Babylon on her forehead? But she's from Japhet, and they're the most powerful people in this world, because they run with the prince of this world. That's what Messiah called the devil, the prince of this world. And the Bible says the dragon gives them their power, seat, and authority. See, it's different than it was then, in the sense that now instead of Hamitic people, it's Japhetic people. Okay, and Daniel's going to show us that. Watch. Daniel chapter 2. So now they're scared. Let's go from verse 6 and read verse 6 and 7 and 8. But if ye show the dream and the interpretation thereof, ye shall receive of me gifts and rewards and great honor. Therefore, show me the dream and the interpretation thereof. And they, that is magicians in them, they answered. Again, it said, let the king let the king tell his servants the dream, and we will show the interpretation. They just couldn't believe what he was asking them. So they tried to change the subject. Tell us the dream. We'll tell you what it means. No problem. That's not what he asked for. The king answered and said, I know of certainty that you would gain the time because you see the thing is gone from me. Them brothers probably peeing on themselves. You standing in front of the most powerful man on earth. All he got to do is go like this and your life is over. All he got to do is frown at you and you done. And he's telling you, I need you to tell me what I dreamt last night. And if you don't tell me what I dreamt, I'm going to cut all y'all in pieces. I'm going to make your houses into cesspools. There's going to be a bunch of new bathrooms in Babylon. That's what he's telling them. And they said, yeah, no problem, King. Tell us what you dreamt. We'll give you the interpretation. Tell us what you dreamt. He's not having it. He's not having it. See, brothers and sisters, this is what I like about the truth. There's power. There's real power in the truth. Now, Washington has power, right? Washington got power. Asatan got some power, no question. China got power. People with money got power, right? People got power, but ain't no power like the Most High. Ain't no power like him. You're talking about a power that can speak something. He can just say it and it appears. Like if he say, I want to create this thing that y'all call a horse, boom. Job tells us when he was speaking things into existence that all the sons of Yah were just shouting. Can you imagine? Yah steps out into the middle of his space, steps out to the middle of it. Let there be an earth right there. And it's covered with water. I want dry land. Come up out of it. Boom. I need some trees on it. And I wanted to grow some fruit on it. Boom, 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 boom. Exploding into existence. That's power right there. And if he was to say, I don't want it to exist anymore, it's gone. Okay, it's gone. That is power. Okay, so brothers and sisters, let me tell you some crazy things. Messiah said whatever he did, we're going to be able to do. So don't be surprised if when he poured that spirit on the 144,000, which is coming, we're going to walk on water. See, that's power right there. Don't be surprised that if one of the brothers are dead and one of us say, rise up, he stands up. That's power right there. And now I'm looking, I'm counting, I'm putting, see, if we was in the casino and we was betting, right, I then took all my chips and I put it on the table on Yah and his word. That's what I did. You're going to do the same thing if you're following this truth. I'm taking all my chips. I'm putting it all on black. Here, it's all on black. I'm putting it all on there. You understand? So, right here, they not ready for that. They can't handle that. They got some power, but they don't got that kind of power. So here you go. Verse 8 and 9, and then 10. Watch what it says. The king answered and said, I know of a certainty that you would gain the time, because ye see the thing is gone from me. But if ye will not make known unto me the dream, there is but one decree for you. For ye have prepared lying, corrupt words to speak before me till the time be changed. Therefore tell me the dream, and I shall know that you can show me the interpretation thereof. The Chaldeans answered before the king and said, there is not a man upon the earth that can show the king's matter. Therefore, there is no king, lord, ruler that have asked such things at any magician, astrologer, or Chaldean. It is in verse 11. And it is a rare thing that the king requires. And there is none other that can show it before the king except the gods whose dwelling is not with flesh. Now, this is interesting, right? He said they're saying only their gods can do this. But they are supposed to represent their gods. Correct? Right? So if I have a god, and I'm his servant, I'm supposed to represent him, right? So they said, nobody could do this except the gods. So I thought y'all talk to the gods. Why can't y'all talk to your gods and, have them do this for me? I need this. Okay. Notice verse 12. For this cause, the king was angry and very furious and commanded to destroy all the wise men of Babylon. He was pissed. And he's like, you know what? All y'all fake, man. I just realized y'all are all fake. See, Nebuchadnezzar was a spiritual man. There are people on this planet that are spiritual. They don't know the truth because they caught up in the deception and ignorance of this world, but they know their spirits, right? You meet people like that. They're spiritual, but they don't know the truth. They know their spirits, but they don't know the truth. The Bible says Nebuchadnezzar, when he was about to attack Jerusalem, he looked into the liver. What does that mean? Because the liver is interesting. The Bible says he looked into the liver. What does that mean? The liver can tell you the health of your whole body, because the liver is where stuff is cleansed. When your liver is bad, everything goes bad. And he said he looked in the liver to tell the future, because he did not want to attack Jerusalem. He thought it was spiritual. Matter of fact, Jeremiah, he respected Jeremiah's prophecy. He had heard all the way in Babylon about the prophecies of Jeremiah. And he told his men, when you find this prophet in Israel, Jeremiah, treat him good. Whatever he wants, you give him. He respected spiritual things. So in his world, the magicians, the astrologers, they were spiritual men. So he trusted them. Now he's mad because he has this thing that he really needs from them, and they can't come through. And then they're going to tell him only gods that are not with us. And he's like, well, I thought you guys were their servants. How come you can't tell me? Now he's mad. And not only that, you know, anybody that has power, right? You get used to getting what you want. That's the problem with power. That's the problem with it. You get power, and and most human beings will abuse it. Because we can't handle it. Power belongs to the Most High. He's the only one that can really handle it. Right? He's the only one that can handle it. Men get power, and that's how David got in trouble, right? David was the king. He had power. So he on the roof of a building one night, on a summer night, taking a stroll, and he see this beautiful sister. Because back at that time, they still in that area of the world, they take showers outside. The water's running, and it comes outside. So she cleaning herself outside, and he sees her, and ooh, who's that? And his servants say, oh, yeah, that's Uriah the Hittite, the Hittite's wife. See? So the Hittite was not an Israelite, but the Hittite was joined with Israel. He was one of David's most faithful soldiers. The Bible says he recorded that Uriah was one of David's most trusted men. And he said, that's Uriah the Hittite's wife. And you know, brothers and sisters, when we look, and David said that he needed to learn wisdom in his hidden parts. You understand what I'm saying? He said he needed to learn because his hidden parts took over at that moment. He said, hey, tell her to come up to the palace, because he had power. What's she going to do? Say no to the king? So she came up, and he did what he had to do, and we know the rest. And that caused the sword to never depart from his house. That one night caused him to have problems all the rest of his days with his own children. Solomon ended up killing his brothers, because his brothers were going to kill him for the throne. You understand? So that's what happens, brothers and sisters, when we get power. We don't know how to handle it. And David was that man after his own heart, and David couldn't handle power, because power belongs to the Most High. Okay? We're going to see how Daniel handled power. He ended up getting power. We're going to see how he handled it. But power belongs to the Most High, and we can't handle it. So here's Nebuchadnezzar used to getting what he wants when he wants it. And he asked these magicians, and they couldn't come through. So he was mad. And he's like, okay, that's it. All y'all put to death right now. Put them to death. Fall on all of them. Right? Let's look. Daniel chapter 2 from verse 12. For this cause the king was angry and very furious, and commanded to destroy all the wise men of Babylon. And the decree went forth that the wise men should be slain. And they sought Daniel and his fellows to be slain. Then Daniel answered with counsel and wisdom to Arioch, the captain of the king's guard, which was gone forth to slay the wise men of Babylon. He answered and said to Arioch, the king's captain, why is the decree so hasty from the king? Then Arioch made the thing known to Daniel. So Daniel and his boys didn't know nothing about what was going on. They wasn't involved with this, but they were considered wise men. So he wanted to destroy them and everybody else, even if they wasn't there with them astrologers and magicians. He said, kill all of them. So Daniel answered with counsel and wisdom, because he had favor with the Most High. So Arioch, who knew Daniel, came to kill them. Probably thought to himself, let me kill them first. These are going to be the hardest ones to do, because I don't want to do this. But he's going to kill them first, then everybody else be easier, right? So what Daniel said, wait, what's going on? He explained to him what's going on. Then Daniel said, verse 16, then Daniel went in and desired of the king that he would give him time and that he would show the king the interpretation. So now Daniel decided, he said, bring me in there. I wasn't there. Bring me in there. Let me talk to him and see if I could get what he needs. King said, I need the interpretation. I need this dream. He said, give me time. I'll get it for you. Give me time. I'll get it for you. And the king wanted, it wasn't like the king just wanted, he wasn't bloodthirsty and he just wanted to kill everybody. He needed what he wanted. He wanted to know what this dream was and its interpretation. So when Daniel came and said, I'll get it done for you. Hold everything up until Daniel can get this done, because he wants this thing. And why else? Because, do you realize that the Most High called Nebuchadnezzar his servant? He said, my servant Nebuchadnezzar. Because he also calls people servants that don't even know him, that's going to do his will, according to his will for his people. He said, Nebuchadnezzar is my servant. He also calls Cyrus the Persian king his servant. But they're not Israelites. These are exceptions. These are exceptions. He does make some exceptions. Obviously, he does, right? But he said, children of Israel are my servants. So when he bring forth prophets, he bring Nebuchadnezzar nor Cyrus was a prophet. Okay, but they knew they was ordained to do what they did. So now Nebuchadnezzar called one of the real servants. Okay, Daniel went in and desired of the king that he would give him time and that he would show the king the interpretation. Then Daniel went to his house and made the thing known to Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah, his companions. See what I'm saying? So he made the thing known to himself, it was known to him, and to YAH's servants. He went to the brothers that he knew were servants of the Most High. He didn't actually go to, there was a lot of Israelites that was in Babylon at that time. A lot of Abraham's bloodline was there. It wasn't just them four, but them four was faithful. Them four was standing firm for the truth of YAH in the midst of Babylon. And they connected with each other. Most High had them. So Daniel came to them and they knew what to do. They were going to seek the face of the only true God. Okay? That he would desire the mercies of the Most High of heaven concerning this secret, that Daniel and his fellows should not perish with the rest of the wise men of Babylon. Verse 19. Then was the secret revealed unto Daniel in a night vision. Then Daniel blessed the Most High of heaven. Daniel answered and said, blessed be the name of YAH forever and ever. For wisdom and might are his. And he changes the times and the season. He removeth kings and setteth up kings. He giveth wisdom unto the wise and knowledge to them that know understanding. He revealeth the deep and secret things. He knoweth what is in the darkness, and the light dwelleth with him. I thank thee and praise thee, O thou Most High of my fathers, who have given me wisdom and might, and has made known unto me now what we desired of thee. For thou hast made known unto us the king's matter. So now, in the night visions, the Most High speaks to his servants. That means when you go to sleep, he can speak to you. The Bible says he open your ear. In Job, we say he open your ear and whispers instructions. He revealed his secret to his servants. Y'all ever had dreams like that, where he showed you something coming? I know some of y'all have. I know I have. Been having them for decades. So crazy. But it happens because he showed his secrets to his servants, the prophets. Okay? Servants of the children of Israel. He showed Daniel his secret. Now Daniel is going to make known to the king. This is a very important dream. This is a pivotal dream that involves not just Babylon, but all the nations. Very pivotal dream. And it's a foundational dream for the rest of the book of Daniel. That's why it's being shown this early in the book. Okay, so we're going to take a break now. It's now 12:14. It's now 12:14. We're going to come back at 12:40. We're going to take a break now. Come back at 12:40. I'm going to go live again. I'm going to stop this cast right here, and I'm going to go live again at 12:40 to continue part 2. And we're going to go into the dream, which is the important part of this here. So we're going to go into this dream and the interpretation. We're going to understand what's happening and how it relates to you and I right now. Right now, it relates to us. So we're going to take a break. I'm going to drink some juice or something, and then we'll come back about 12:40, and we're going to continue this study in Daniel chapter 2. Shalom. Thank you all for your participation. Shalom. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them under the video in the comment section. You could ask your questions there. rawhebrewremnant.org is our website. You could ask your questions there. And by the grace of the Most High, if He gives me answer, I will try to answer. Shalom.